Hello, this is being made by TDS/AI. I had this dream on February 25, 2024. To ensure all details of this dream are fully recalled, this dream journal entry will be put in the description for you all to read. Thank you all for watching, enjoy the video. Note, my voice in the dream was different from my real voice. February 25. Title, The Two Girls' Dream. Dream. I was doing something in a dream and I was in a well-lit room with about 20 people who were talking when I became lucid and asked my dream to take me to SpongeBob SquarePants Rock Bottom Plunge, but it didn't. I then used Siri on my phone to teleport me to Raging Bull at Six Flags Great America. I got to the ride with my friend Sierra Poth and we sat down in our seats when I realized that the lap bar didn't feel like the ride's normal lap bar, but it felt more like the one on VeloCI Coaster. We started the ride and it started out normal in the pre-section. We then started going up the chain lift backwards, but a little bit later we started to rotate to the normal position for this ride, which is forward not backwards. We went through another rotation from forwards to backwards, then back to forwards. At the top we did a circle, then went down the drop forwards. We then did the ride, which I don't think was like the real ride. Then we went back into the station where a guy was talking about harming us or something, so the ride operator let us go a little bit out of the station and then he stopped the train from fully leaving the station. I knew that this guy didn't have good intentions, whoever or whatever he was. Whilst still in my seat, I then dragged the cart through the pre-section and about 20 feet up the lift hill. I then dragged the cart backwards and cornered the guy to where he couldn't move. I then asked my dream to teleport me to the next plane that Stevie Trecenberg was about to fly. I was then teleported near a open door of a Boeing 747. It was dark outside. I hopped in and sat down. I sat for a minute, then I looked for the CDU control display unit and realized it was a braille display in a case, which was under my seat. I read it for about 30 to 45 seconds and placed it back in its case and I put it back under my seat. The 747 had okay/mid-level sounds for a plane in a dream. Then I talked to Stevie for a bit while pressing buttons and flipping switches. Some of them were already on, one of them turned off all or almost all the lights in the cockpit and it got darker, then it already was outside and the sound changed. I flipped the button like switch again and it was light in the cockpit again and the mid-level sound came back. Then we began pushback and start up. I started all 4 engines. Then pushback stopped and we sat for what seemed like 15 minutes. In this time she told me about her boyfriend and how he was coming, so I told her to hurry up. She then complied and we began taxiing. We taxied for about maybe 5 minutes. I was then told to pull back on the yoke for takeoff when we reached VR and I felt the yoke, which felt like a stuffed animal consistency. I then thought about a guy named Tim saying Sierra Kilo 737 for some reason. The yoke felt like a small triangle. I then felt the yoke morph into a oval-shaped cookie. We took off, in which I didn't feel or notice at all. During that I went behind her chair, then went back to my seat and raised the landing gear. The lever was large, wide, and it felt like plastic. I was then told that I didn't pull back on the yoke for takeoff. As we climbed at a very slow and barely noticeable rate, I thought about when I would wake up I would go through sleep paralysis and I would have a particular bad time. I then thought about this lady turning into a demon. Then I grabbed control of the plane and I pulled the throttles to idle, lowered the landing gear and I waited for the plane to land. It was descending slowly, so I wasn't worried. After we made a perfect butter smooth landing, I opened the door and looked out of the plane and I said my dream end. I closed my eyes for about 2 seconds and opened them. That didn't work, so I said my dream show me a bright light. I then gazed into the bright light for about 10 seconds. I also thought about asking the dream to show me a mirror, but I didn't. I thought I woke up, but I was in my grandparents' basement. Lastly, I asked my dream to show me my Lord. I thought I heard shuffling from behind me. I felt scared and I then made a little sound and bolted about halfway or more up the first flight of stairs before waking up.